Hi Theater 29 fans, I'm Rowena Alegria, and I'm excited to share with you today an excerpt from my novel in progress, 500 Springs. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks. The bleachers were packed when Phoenix drove up. He had to park the truck at the far end, just beyond the gravel. The boys grabbed their gear and ran to catch up with their teammates, who were already warming up in an unmowed field, which meant mostly hunting dropped balls in the hay like a swarm of inept weed whackers. Phoenix got the dog on her leash and waited for Gia, who moved a little more slowly these days. He felt sorry for her, so round in this delirious heat, and kicked himself for forgetting the sunscreen. She refused his cap and would be as rosy as her blouse by the end of the day. At least there aren't any tornadoes in the forecast, she joked. Thunderstorm, tornado, no big diff. What? She stopped. You're kidding, right? Phoenix shrugged and handed her a chair cushion to make the bleachers more bearable. She sighed. I need to pee. It was an improvement over I hate this place, which Phoenix wished she'd quit saying. He toted the cooler he'd packed with water and Gatorade, apples and almond butter sandwiches. A concession stand sold hot dogs and cold sodas, popcorn, Big League Chew, and sunflower seeds in 2 flavors. He snagged a bag and barbecue. When he asked what she wanted, she said, stable air. They'd driven 45 minutes to get to the town, even smaller than the one they lived in. It looked like the entire population had shown up for some Saturday Little League. Hand-painted signs from local businesses decorated the scoreboard, which actually worked. The color commentator in the booth above controlled it. With the season nearly over, Phoenix still felt like they'd stepped into an after-school special. All the parents from Du Bois's team were there. He and Gia knew only their neighbors and the coaches by name, but everyone said hello and scooted over to make room for them on their side of the stands. The women asked how Gia was feeling. The guys wanted to know if Phoenix had bought cigars yet. He hadn't even thought of it, but what a retro idea. See, it's not so bad out here, he whispered to Gia. Oh, most definitely, she said. If you don't count a grocery store full of last month's produce, no pizza delivery, no yoga, bookstore, breakfast burritos. Sure, living the dream. The boys are doing all right. Luna loves it. Maybe you left the house once in a while. Did you not hear me say there's nowhere to go? A bat cracked, and the ball headed into right field, sending Caleb scrambling. The youngest and smallest on the team, he got so little action, he was mostly panicked when the ball came his way. But he hit the cutoff and held the runner at second. Even Gia jumped up and cheered. Phoenix lost his mind, and he barely even liked baseball. When Dom got a base hit, Phoenix kissed Gia's ever-pinkening cheek. They'd won her over yet. He high-fived the parents who had high-fived him when their kids made the occasional good play. Chowing through half the bag of seeds barely got Phoenix through the stress of it all. Still, the team didn't make the next day's play, even via the loser's bracket. Phoenix tried not to be happy about it. The sun simmered through the final out, but they had to run, jog, for Gia's sake, to the truck after the team's snack distribution. They drove home in pummeling rain. Is it hailing? Dom shouted over the drubbing on the pickup roof. Phoenix had already switched off the radio they couldn't hear anyway. I think it's just rain, Gia hollered back. It was tough to tell. With the wipers as high as they would go and the windshield fogging up, Phoenix could barely see the pavement. He couldn't be sure he was staying on the road. He hoped he'd be able to feel if the tires veered onto the shoulder or all the way into a field in time to brake before they wound up in a ditch. Shall we pull over? Gia asked. Phoenix shook his head but didn't say another word. A twister would throw the truck halfway to Garden City. They'd found a woman in a tree after a recent one barreled into the night nearby. She left an infant and a husband who didn't even have a trailer to go back to. Speeding wouldn't protect his family, but Phoenix couldn't just park there and wait for it, could he? As far as he could see, sort of. The sky was thick and gray, and they were moving through the quaggy bottom of a settling snow globe. He didn't know what he'd do if the billow turned green. He held the steering wheel so tight for so long his knuckles ached. The dog lodged her head in his lap. He felt her shivers on his thigh and wanted to rub her ears, but didn't dare take a fist off the wheel. He glanced at Gia but couldn't handle the weight of her grimace or the hands on her belly. Under their caps, the boys stared silently out their windows. The thrum might have been coming from his chest. Phoenix was exhausted by the time they took the turnoff home more than an hour later. The storm finally let up. They were having frozen pizza for dinner with baby carrots if there were any left. That was it. He could already taste the cold sixer in the fridge. He'd earned at least 4 of those babies. He sent the family in with the dog, letting Du Bois off the hook for unloading the truck, to give himself a moment to catch his breath. He peered warily into the restless sky. Their screams sent him running. He tore into the house before he even had time to imagine what horror awaited. He entered a flurry and was immediately bopped in the cheek, the arm, and the back of the head, in the chest, the thigh, and the behind. Hundreds upon hundreds of miller moths flapped around the room. The furry flying critters hit the acoustic ceiling tiles. They caromed into the lousy old windows that had snuck them in the first place. Bonked overhead lights and TV screen. They pinged against the washer and dryer. Ping, 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 ping. They left rust-colored dots everywhere they bounced, and they bounced everywhere, including at him and his swatting family. Luna jumped off the furniture and chomped at the insects. Gia grabbed a broom, planted her feet wide so she wouldn't tilt with the whacking. Du Bois swung their arms at everything, but mostly each other. Phoenix distributed fly swatters. The moths were too quick and too crazy, zigging with every zag of those instantly bent and useless flappers. Phoenix had slightly better luck with a rolled newspaper. But for every moth they smacked, they didn't necessarily kill it. Another 50 flapped free. It was disgusting, but hilarious. Gia shrieked when one got her in the ear. Luna gagged when she actually caught one. Phoenix had to stop Du Bois from getting their bats. "To the vacuums!" he shouted, taking turns, with 2 of them sucking at full blast and 2 others swinging manually. It took nearly an hour to suck up all those moths. And then the rain started again. Thunder boomed. Phoenix cut the hot pizza on top of its cardboard box. He handed Gia a stack of paper plates and napkins. In charge of drinks, Du Bois reloaded the cooler with juice boxes and water bottles. Luna got a chew. Phoenix put 2 beers and an opener in his cargo pockets and herded them all upstairs into his and Gia's bedroom. Phoenix waited until they were all settled on the bed, with food and beverages, to turn off the lights and throw open the drapes on their giant plate glass window. Lightning shattered the night sky. Gia squeezed his thigh and rested her sunburned head on his shoulder. Thanks. Bye.